Welcome into the Ballin' Out Podcast. I'm your host, Jordan, here with my co-host, Billy. Billy, buddy, we're going to run through this football season right quick. Just hit the high points, low points, all that. Kind of discuss the season that was there for what we had, and relive some of the good stuff. We talked about the bad last episode, so figure a good episode would where we talk about beating Alabama and stuff like that. That's always good, So, buddy, let's jump in and break down the schedule right quick that we had. We were pretty close on record from the season preview. UTC 69-3 win, NC State a 51-10 win. At the time, that was a top 25 win. A lot of people were worried about that one. You and I kind of were like, we'll handle that one. Swanee, he said, not so fast. It's going to be close, but it wasn't close. Kent State, 71-0. We could have scored 150 in that game if we wanted to. Kind of glad we didn't, though, because it would have got crazy. This is when the season really kicked into gear, though. We had to go out to Norman, took down Boomer Sooner 25-15. At the time, that was a top 15 win, man. And then, man, they just kind of fell off after that. It wasn't pretty out there for a little while. Then they got hot there at the end of the season. That would probably be, outside of Alabama, that's probably our best win, honestly. Then that trip to Fayetteville, buddy, I think that's where a lot of us realized we had more problems than what we wanted to admit. Especially in the wide receiver room and quarterbacks. I think that's where we realized, hey, maybe we need to dial it back just a little bit. Because the next game was a struggle game, but that Arkansas game, man, that one, people, here's my thing about that game too. When it got down to it and the playoffs started coming out, well, that's why we're not getting a home game. I don't think it was. I don't think it was why we didn't get a home game. I think we didn't get a home game because I don't want to say didn't deserve one, but we weren't impressive enough throughout the whole season to get a home game.
Yeah, I don't think they wanted us with a home game anyway.
I don't either.
We got a home game. I think it would have been a different outcome as far as getting up for the game, because I think it was a lot of pressure on those kids when they was, trying to do things that they shouldn't have been doing when they went up to Ohio State, trying to show everybody that they're snowman instead of mountain man. So it's a different situation. So.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I don't necessarily think if that game would have been played in Neyland, that the outcome as far as score would have been closer. I don't think the outcome would have changed. I don't. It just wouldn't have mattered. The next week, though, man, we get Florida back in Neyland. We had to win that game in overtime. That one, man, that's when Florida really started hitting their stride the rest of the year. Because at that point in time, Florida was they'd won 2 games and were 2-4, 2-5. And we're like, okay. A lot of people were like, that's going to be an easy one. No, it ain't going to be an easy one. That never is. Never is, Then the Tide rolls into town. And they got rolled right back out, buddy. 24-7. That was, to me, though, that game there, at the time, Alabama coming off that Georgia win, we're like, okay, that's going to be like I said, outside of Alabama, or Oklahoma, that was probably our best win of the year. That Alabama game was, just because it's Alabama, and at the time they were coming off. I look at stuff, like whenever they have the playoff discussions and stuff like that on TV, and they talk about, well, that's that at the time that, now that game's not a quality win, blah, 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 blah. I look at it like, okay, at the time we beat Oklahoma, that was a top 15 win. We beat Alabama, that was a top 10 win. NC State was a top 25 win. I think they look for reasons to we've talked about it on here before. They look for reasons to discount anything we do. And it was just, that game really that really pissed me off whenever they started saying, oh, Oklahoma's not that good. Oklahoma's not that good. No, they were good when we beat them.
That's how it's always been with the sports world with Tennessee, and it's not going to change. We just got to just go out there and do what we are capable of doing and just win the ball game, and everything falls in its place. I just wish we'd go back old school and just, go on the Tennessee route. Let's just win. Let them do the talk.
That's it. Then let's see here. We got Kentucky and Miss State up next. We beat Kentucky 28-18. Miss State 33-14. those 2 games right there leading into the Georgia game, though, that was whenever I was kind of those 2 games, I didn't feel like the defense got up. They did enough to win the game, but Kentucky and Miss State ran through them. And then Georgia, I mean, 31-17 in Athens. That I wasn't surprised that we lost that game. What surprised me was the energy they came out with in the second half of that game. They just, I mean, if we come out with the first half energy in the second half, we're good. That game don't go 31-17, and we put up points in the second half.
You're right. I mean, because
we may be having a totally different discussion right now.
Exactly, man. Because you have a totally different team that came out. Kind of the game the year before with Alabama. We up big time, and then second half it was like nobody came out to play.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of people wanted to blame the referees and stuff. And that's the part that I just say, don't give the referees a chance to beat you.
Right.
Continue to do what you're doing, and it works itself out.
That's it, man. That's it. Just do what you're out there to do, and don't give the refs an opportunity to make a difference. Next 2 games though, man, UTEP 56-0. We met up at that one. That was cool. Go out to Vandy. We just have to win there, get in the playoffs. We win that one 36-23. Then we roll up to the first round of the playoffs, go up to Ohio State, 42-17 loss. It is what it is. We kind of touched on that for a minute, but last episode that's what the whole episode was about. But I'm going to say this theoretically that we touched on it, but theoretically that's where we want to be at. We want to be in the playoffs. We're close to being right where we really want to be at. We're where we want to be at right now, but we need to there's one more step we got to take to get to that elite level. And I think we kind of got a taste of that in that game.
We're going to step it up big time. I mean, recruiting going to help big time. I mean, I still say we got to get some big O-line and big D-line to come in and get us back where we need to be dominant.
Yes. Guts hanging, yes, let them go, So here's something that I want to say, though. How long, and we talked about it too, and I mentioned it, we're not going to be able to hang our hat on, look how far we've come in 4 years. That's where I'm at right now. I think that's where a lot of us are at. Look how far we've come in 4 years. Hype's bought himself plenty of time. And I'm not putting the man on the hot seat by no means. His seat's not even chilly. He's safe. But we know we've got that portion of the fan base that think firing that head coach is the answer to everything. How long before that? And I think the majority of the fan base is on. Look how far we've come in 4 years. But how long before the not logical portion of the fan base starts saying, you know what? I don't care how far we've come in 4 or 5 years. Let's get rid of him and get somebody in here that can take the next step. How long before that portion starts getting loud?
I mean, that's going to be every single year. I don't know. If we don't win a national championship, it's going to be that regardless. We could go to the national championship game, and if we don't win that game, there's going to be that one that wants the coach's head. And,
yes.
And that's just so disrespectful, though. Like, really? It's not that easy, man. It's not that easy. I mean, everybody think it's just easy to just come in and win. It's not. There's so much you have to do to be able to win a game. Everybody look at Nick Saban. Nick didn't always have that. He didn't always have that.
Right.
Haven't always been that way. Alabama went through a big slump too. Nick came through and he used the old school recipe and it worked. You gotta have a consistency. When you start changing up things, get new places, new people in different positions and coaches, things change. I promise you, it's a big difference. You have some coaches that can come in and give you instant, results.
Right.
It's rare. You don't get those coaches. You don't get that coach like the coach that came to LSU and revamped the quarterback that's at Cincy right now. You don't get those guys. It's hard to get that. Like for instance, Jalen last year with Alabama had a heck of a season, a Heisman Trophy season. And all of a sudden you think he's not that good anymore. It's the same quarterback. He's the same.
Right.
He's even better now than he was last year. Just it don't show on the field.
Right. Right. No, I'm with you there. I think I had to ask it because it's interesting to see a player's perspective and all that. That I had to ask that.
Well, I tell you this, man. I don't like new coaches. I don't like new coaches. Like in my whole career, I never had a new coach. When I was, I think we only maybe had one, maybe two new coaches ever. I think we had after my freshman year, we got a new offensive line coach. Then my senior year, we got a new DB coach. And if you ask all of the DBs about the new coaching change, they would say they hate it. But he ended up being a good coach with Coach Larry Slade.
Yeah.
He ended up being a good coach. Our offensive line coach, Coach Barry, he ended up being a good offensive line coach back there. But no one liked him. And that's what coaches not. You're gonna like if you like your coach, how he coach you, something's wrong with you.
Right. Right. Absolutely. No, I'm with you on that. I don't whether we like it or not, there's going to be changes made this year, I think. I don't know what they'll be. The only one that I would say I think might need to happen is the OC. I think, but at the same time, I'm like, I think that hype calls a lot of the shots and sees just a title.
That's the thing. I wish everybody would quit that, man.
Yeah.
They gotta quit that, man. Like the OC is calling the plays. The OC is calling the plays. There's not enough time on the play clock for that to happen.
No, I get it. I
Think
get it.
about that, though. If the OC says, I want to run left side, X, Y, W, Z, Z, 5, and ready to break, and they go on the field, there's only 35 seconds. And you mean to tell me that hype can say, no, we're not running that play. We're not running that play. We need to change it. No. We need
See that.
Only time that would probably happen is when we get a timeout.
No,
We only get 3 per half. So I'm going to say, what, he get 3 plays?
I can see that.
Think about that, though. Hell, same thing. Just if you, like high school, you got 24 seconds. So you think the head coach is telling OC, we
Right.
got to play. No, it don't work like that, guys. It does not work like that. You can
can see
like
that.
all you want. He may be talking or whatever, but they don't change. It don't work that way. There's
Right.
not enough time for the OC to give in a play, and then hype say, no, we're not going to play. We're going to run the ball. No. These fans got to, I wish they can go behind the scenes and see all this stuff.
Right.
Like,
no, I'm with you.
Like the part that they don't get is the rough part, the bad stuff, the stuff they got to do to make. Only thing we get is the plate. That's what we get.
That's it. They don't see the prep.
I don't think that's the issue. I don't think the OC is the issue. I think it's just what we got.
Yeah.
Play calling is everywhere you go. I don't care who you are. You gotta have the players to be able to run these plays in practice. They gotta be able to do it consistently where I know it works. And on this tab that we have, there's so many plays that you have that per down and distance. There's some that work better than the other. We can do it better. And the coaches call it based on what they think they can do against the team or what our kids can do 100% right.
Right. No, I'm with you.
When you send these plays in and the kids are not doing them, that's the problem that these fans don't understand, though. They are still handcuffed to what kind of plays they can run. So when the play go in, they are expecting those kids to execute what they call. It doesn't matter what it is. If it's a run left, run right, quarterback sneak, everybody expecting to get half a yard.
Right.
That's just
it comes down to execution.
Execute what you get called. Because guess what? The other team has the same situation.
Yep. Absolutely, man. Excuse me. So the next question here: what would you rate the season? Was it a success or failure, and why?
I would say success, man. I mean, I think we outdone what I thought that everybody didn't think we would do. With me, progression is always better with me. Win more games than you won last year.
Yeah.
That's the key to being successful. So now next year, I want to see 11 games. I want to see 11 games, 11 wins. And that's the way it works. We had 9 last year. We get 10 this year. Next year, I want 11.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree with that. I would agree with it being a success. And honestly, I'd say it would have been a success if we went 9-3 and made the playoffs. To me, playoffs was the goal this year. We hit that goal. I mean, the national championship's the goal, but you've got to hit those smaller goals before you get to the main goal. And we hit that smaller goal. Next year, I'd like to see us maybe with a home playoff game. Put ourselves in position for that. I'll be surprised if there's not some major changes made though after to the playoff system. I think I think we can have a whole other episode on what needs to change there. But I think that I'd like to see us maybe with a home playoff game next year, just to say we took that next step. That's a baby step from where we're at, but that would be a good step in the right direction. Let's see here. Let's grade out some positions right quick. Defensive line. Well, where are you going on that?
I'm gonna go with a C.
Ooh.
And then the reason why, because I think the kids that we had should have done a lot better, especially with all the guys we had coming back. We had a lot of seniors on that D line. They did okay, but they didn't when it was time for things to happen when they're making big plays.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I'll go with you on that. I'll agree with you on that. Linebacker core.
I'm gonna grade them a C as well, man. I mean, I think once injury bug hit us, it kind of dropped the talent that leadership that we was missing. Because typically your linebackers are the guys that lead this ship. They're the ones that are gonna keep you hyped up or whatever. And once I keep getting my kid name already.
Peely.
Yes. Once he went down, I think that's when kind of part of the heart of the defense kind of dropped in it. And when you lose that type of player, it's tough to replace that type of talent.
It is. I would say C+. I feel like the younger guys stepped up. They, especially once Peely went down. Arian Carter, the kid, once he went down in the what game was it? Was it Florida that he went down in early in that game? Arian Carter made a really impressive showing in that game, in his first game, where he really had a lot of time in. I know that wasn't the first time he was on the field this year, but he had a lot of time in that game. And honestly, that interception he made sparked the comeback for the Vols in that one. So, and then the rest of the year he kept getting better. I'll go C+ in that one.
Yeah. I want to grade them higher, but I think we underachieved what I think we could have done. For instance, when Pierce, he finally started stepping up and getting his groove later on in the season where, preseason hype, I need to see that more, because when you're supposed to be the man, you got to step up and let your teammates know that I got you. When it's time get that one player to step up. We had a lot of guys that did step up on the D line that I wasn't expecting to do as well as they did.
Right. No, I agree with you. We had a lot of good depth at that spot.
Because think about how what Norman did. Man, he came out and played his butt off, man. We will see him get drafted this year. Watch.
Oh, he should be. Man. He's a hoss, man.
He will be the steal of the draft.
I would agree with that. Absolutely. Secondary. What are you grading the secondary out at?
I'm gonna give them a B, man. I mean, those guys. For what they had to work with, man. You got to look at this here. Think about this. No names. Nobody talked about any of the kids that was play DB other than my man 3-5, baby.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So many times, man. And the grade would be higher if we had more interception and more plays. But they stepped up every time we needed them, man. Like anytime we get, like, let's say, when they're down in our field and the defense get off the field from a quick interception or quick play. And no one talked about them enough this season.
Oh, I agree with that.
Good job this year, man.
I'm gonna go with an A minus, and I simply do that just because of how god awful they were last year, and they took a huge step forward this year. Granted, it was a whole different cast of characters from last year, with the exception of one or two. But Jermod McCoy, dude was legit. He come up big when we needed it. Will Brooks, dude, walk on to walk off, buddy. Like that man come to play every game. He brought his lunch pail and he was out there handing out bubble gum and ass whooping, and he was out of bubble gum every week. You know what I mean? I mean, even in the Ohio State game, man, he come up with a big interception that at the time we needed and would have been a big difference maker if we could have went down and scored. I mean, it was big, you know. He come through when we needed it. And I mean, he sealed the Alabama game, you know, for us. I mean, he come through in a big way, and I hope somebody takes a shot on him, whether it's late in the draft or free agency, whatever. I hope somebody takes a shot on that boy, because he's worked his hind end off and he deserves it.
Yeah, I mean, somebody will give him a shot, man. I mean, he may not get drafted, you know, but he will get invited to someone's camp to give him an opportunity, man. You know, overall, defensively, they done what I love to say, because anytime you have a defense with the amount of plays that are being played in college football per game, and you have a defense that don't have 100 tackle man, that says a whole lot, because that means you're getting off the field, you're doing the job, and not just one player is making plays. Everybody's making plays.
Absolutely. So overall, what would you give the defense as a whole?
Overall, I'm still going to go with a C, man. I mean, my C, because we got a lot to improve. And that's what I love, the fact that we have a lot to improve on, and this offseason is going to be huge.
Yeah, I agree with that. I'm gonna go with you, but I'm gonna go C minus, just because it don't make for good radio if we both go grade out the same. But I mean, at times though, and that's not us knocking the defense. Like the defense played phenomenal just about most of the year. When we really needed it, they always showed up. But you know, at the end of the year too, they also got their ass handed to them in that Ohio State game. So, you know, if we want to go off of what have you done for me lately, probably wouldn't be very good. And the same could be said for the offense too. But let's jump over to the other side of the ball right quick. Quarterback. What are you gonna grade quarterback out at? I know you've been waiting on this one.
I'm not that bad on him, man. I mean,
I know.
he has a long way to go, man. I mean, and I'm not gonna say for as like throwing the ball. I think it's the decision making for his taking off and run in a situation, because I saw that he can run the ball when he wants to in the playoff game. And a lot of times he didn't do that because he wanted to stay in the pocket. If I was to grade him and just being honest, I'm going to go with a C plus, man, because I think he did a good job, but he still is hesitant. He's still not that quarterback that I thought was ready to play the big games or make the bigger plays or not mess up as much. He didn't turn the ball over much at all.
No.
He still has a long way to be in that consideration when we was talking about he could be a Heisman candidate.
Yeah. Well, you know, that conversation started, you know, after we hang 69, 51, and 71 in the first three games. That conversation started. But you look at who we did it against. And I mean, outside of NC State and Oklahoma, even that Oklahoma game wasn't great. But then the Arkansas game, I think, leveled that hype out quite a bit. I'm gonna give Nico a B minus on the year, just because he's, and I know you hate hearing this, but I'm gonna say he's young and he's got a long way to go. But he did show flashes, especially down towards the end of the year, of improving throughout the season. He wanted to, like you say, he wanted to run more. And I don't care what anybody says, man. That boy runs like a damn gazelle. Them long strides, he can cover some ground.
I think it's more of a giraffe than a gazelle, but
Yeah. No, I agree with you. But I think the next group up, I'd say we'll probably agree on running back.
A plus, man. A plus, man. I mean, the whole group did a great job when they got the opportunity. With the exception of a few fumbles, these guys did great. We had the, SEC Offensive Player of the Year.
Yeah.
And they don't give that out too often to a Tennessee player,
That's true. That's true.
He did a great job. Samson did a great job. I mean, the whole room came in, even when he went down. His backups did a great job. So I'm gonna go A+.
I'll second that. They were prepared all year, brought it every week. I don't think we had a game, with the exception of maybe the playoff game, where we didn't go over 150 yards rushing. And I think we probably did in that game too. I don't have the stat right in front of me, but we had every game this year. The running game was there. I think you got A+ is anything less than an A in that on that position group. I think you're reaching. Next up, wide receivers.
I'm gonna go D. D-.
Oh,
D-, man,
D-.
because I say that just because there's so much room to improve.
Yeah,
The deep ball hasn't been there all season. We had a few big plays, but when it came to the big time games, we didn't get,
are there.
and that's the part that it's gonna take to be successful in the SEC.
Yeah, yeah. I'll second that one too. I don't even care about the rate about agree, disagree, whatever on that. I'll go with you on that one because there was times where they couldn't. They couldn't catch a cold in a snowstorm, man, and it was awful. And it was times when we needed it. Like, absolutely had to have something happen. I do want to say, I do think the play of the year was made by Chris Brazell in that Alabama game, that touchdown catch. I think that might be it's easily the catch of the year.
I agree there.
But there's definitely a lot of room to improve on. I don't know. To me, whatever they're doing, teach them soft hands has got to change because they don't have it. They don't have it right now. They drop a lot.
Well, and that's just it, man. If you watch those guys in practice, they're not dropping nothing. And the dimes, it's amazing. And like you see it, you're like, whoa. And that's the part at the beginning of the season when I saw the kids out there catching the balls away. Some of the most amazing catches, man. And then game time, I'm like, what are they doing?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I go back all the way to last season, even when, with Joe. You see it in practice, you're like, what? How are they catching these bazookas?
Yeah.
And then they get in the game, they're dropping some of the easy things, or like the receiver position. Yes, the quarterback is not going to always throw you the best ball ever. But if you go talk to any of the great receivers, or even an average receiver, they'll tell you, if that ball touches my hand,
I have to catch it. Yeah.
Anywhere in the facility where I can reach it and get it, I got to catch it because I got to help my quarterback out because sometimes he's not going to give it to me perfect. I got to give him confidence, throw it to me.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I'm with you there. Like I teach my kids, if that ball hits you in the hands, I don't want to hear you got to give me a better ball. He gave you a good enough ball to catch. It don't have to be perfect. Next up, buddy, offensive line. Where are you going on this one?
Man, I normally don't fail anybody, but I'm gonna give them a D- too, man, because we had so many miscues when it comes to the offensive line, man. Like I watch and I go back and look at games and forgot a lot. They back on their heels, but then they on their face a lot of times. And I didn't see that nasty the second half of the season, man. Like
Yeah.
and it sucked because that first few games I saw that mentality where they was going out there just pushing people around. Didn't matter if they got in trouble for it.
Yeah.
And they did the one time last year, like they did it when the kid drove him all the way in the end zone. We did it this year too.
Yeah.
We had the 201, drove him into the sidelines and dome him. And hey, my bad. That's what this alignment do. They're nasty.
Yes.
They got to be that way. They got to be protected of their quarterback. But I didn't see that the second half of the season. I didn't see those guys doing that.
I agree.
The next time we saw them showing any type of toughness was taking the shirts off in the winter.
Yeah, right. I walk outside my underwear in the winter. I don't care. Don't make it. I'm tough. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go C-. And the only reason I say that, is that run game this year is not as good as it was without them. Other than that, I'd go with the D-. I would go with the D-, but I'm gonna say C-. That run game has to go somehow, and it starts with them. But I'm with you on that, on the toughness, the mentality of that offensive line, man. Back in y'all's day, dude, a lot of them boys, man, just assume hitches, look at you, and they tell you, and you guys would tell them what you're going to do before you do it and still go do it. We don't have that right now. We do not have that right now.
And see,
that's what we need.
that's what's missing, though, man. I mean, you think about this here. If you look at the SEC right now, all right, what team is in the SEC right now that can just, we're going to line up and run it on you and take names later? There's not one right now, because the way they have changed how offensive linemen block. Like, everything now is pass first, then.
Yeah, no, I agree with that 100%, man. I mean, because honestly, you'd be hard pressed to say that there is a better running team. There was a better running team in the SEC than Tennessee was this year. I mean, I don't feel like there was, and I don't feel like it was close for number 2 either. You know what I mean? But that being said, as a whole, what grade are you giving the team?
I'm going to give them a C-, man. Overall C-.
Boy, you're a tough grader, man. No curve on the Ratliff scale.
No curve, man. I mean, because, hey, I don't accept mediocre anymore, man, because we're at the point and the stage that we're at right now, we accept, and just me, anything less than a B is unacceptable. We got to get on the A side of everything, because a C and B is not going to get you anywhere in the SEC anymore.
That's true. That's true. I'll stay in the C scale with you. I'll go C, just flat out C. I'm not going C plus, whatever. I'll stay in the C scale with you, because I agree with you. There's a lot of areas we got to step it up at. And, they have released our 2025 schedule. We'll have our own episode for that too. Talk about that a little bit, because that schedule for next year is interesting, and it's pretty favorable. So, with the exception of that Georgia game being early in the year, but I mean, hell, it don't matter when you play them, honestly.
I'm glad it's the first early.
I am too.
To get it out the way, we either going to win it and lose it, and we still got a chance.
Right. Right.
Hey, I'm telling you, Georgia is not going to be that dominant. Look, there's not going to be dominant teams in the NCAA where they're not beatable anymore.
Right. Well, you seen it last night, man. You seen it last night in the Sugar Bowl. Notre Dame absolutely whipped them. Just piss on the fire and call the dogs. You know what I mean? I mean, it was over in the third quarter.
It was over, man. It was over. Plus, I don't think Georgia was really. I don't know. I keep saying they wasn't up for the game, but you're on that stage, you still get an opportunity to win a national championship. You gotta be up for it. So, no excuse.
Well, and I don't want to hear somebody say either too, well, they'd have won that game with Carson Beck. They look like shit. They look like hot garbage with Carson Beck most of the year. I mean, on offense, they did. It's just the way it is. That defense carried them most of the year, and I don't want to hear none of that. You lost. That's just how it is.
Yeah, that was gonna be that's the excuse. They're gonna say, "I'm like, guys, you don't know what Beck you was gonna get. 3 picks.
That's it.
4 touchdowns. You don't know." And
That's
I
it.
still he's going to the league early. He's about to get his feelings hurt.
He is, man. He looks like a pop zit too. Let's just be honest. He looks like a pop zit. You don't know if you're going with him though, man. You didn't know all year if you were going to get the Georgia Tech Carson Beck for 3.5 quarters, or if you were going to get the Tennessee Carson Beck where he come out and he looked like damn Tom Brady for 4 quarters. You just don't know. I do like that kid they've got as his backup though. I like him, and I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing just yet. But watching last night, first game as a starter though,
he's gonna be okay, man. It's kind of the playbook was limited to what they're allowing him to do. It's more of kind of like a freshman type situation how they did Nico. Or so
kind of handcuffed a bit.
It's hard to judge him on that game because he will be ready for us.
Oh yeah, he'll be ready to go next year for sure. For sure. Buddy, let's close this one out, and I'm looking forward to talking some basketball here. We're gonna talk some basketball here in just a few minutes. So let's close this one out, and we'll get ready to talk about the hardwood. How about that?
All right, my man.
All right, brother.